Good afternoon. Welcome to OptionsTender's Monday, November 24th, 2025. So we're going to take a look at SPX and the VIX, also down to SPY and the 65, so the daily in the 65. And just by request, I'm going to do a quick little look at Apple and MSOX, okay? I just had a question on there, and I want to clarify that. I don't see all the YouTube comments because I'm very, very active in the Discord. So I do see some members that are that are commenting on YouTube. Feel free to come in the Discord, man. It's you have a lot of people that I can give you my answer. Plus you can bounce that around with the community of traders in there. So wonderful. By the way, I usually do these intraday. And if you want to get these intraday, obviously today I did not. I was traveling with my wife. We have a 501c3 charity, and we were out at a meeting today. And so I was pretty active. She drove, so I was pretty active on there, but just a different setup for me. So if you want to join the Discord, get that cheddar data, and I know somebody asked me about cheddar data in the Discord, I'll get back to you, but go to the tutorial section and learn what that options flow is in the dark pools. And I'll mention those dark pools when we get to Apple and on SPY. Okay. So, so that's 99 cents a month to be a YouTube supporter. You comes with the Trade Alerts Discord. We had a nice one on Netflix today. Had a little pop at the end of the day there. We're able to triple our money on that play right there. That was pretty cool. So let's jump into it. We have SPX. I'm limited on time. We have two boys that play hockey tonight. We got to get there in a little bit and eat some dinner and stuff like that. So let's jump into it. We have SPX on the daily time frame. We're looking at a naked chart here. It appears to me we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move, and we're looking for a bounce. After this bounce is concluded in this short Thanksgiving week, which is very typical to be bullish. Now, don't get me wrong. I think tomorrow we're going to have a dump of a day, okay? And then we continue our rally after that. But what we're looking for at this point is really just simply your neckline here, your left shoulder, head, and we're going to form this right shoulder. This right shoulder, we're probably going to come down, close that gap or so, and then come back up for, in my opinion, I think a deep retracement because we'll squeeze out some shorts, but we'll see what price gives us, and we'll have that right shoulder, and then we'll look for a pretty darn large move going into, and I'm not pointing at it. We do have extensions and stuff that we're looking at in the Discord and on the members' videos as well, but we'll be looking for a pretty darn big move going on into the beginning of December. Okay. All right. So here's your indicators here. Let me pull these out. Here's our trend. Trend is down. We're, at the 20 moving average, the 20 exponential right now. Everything's red here. I think that's going to continue. I think we're going to push off tomorrow, but I do feel we're going to have a snapback, and it's going to go above these moving averages. We'll see. So here's your moving averages. We bounced off the 100. We were fighting with the 8 after being so much oversold. And I know everybody's talking about that fear of greed being down to 8 or so. We're getting a snapback, and that 8 EMA, although it is a wonderful indicator for trend, clearly here you get those whipsaws outside of it. Okay, and I think that's what's happening here, and it's going to happen again. And we're back at that 50-day moving average. So clearly that's a good spot to have a reaction. Very typical to have a reaction off the 50-day. It does matter. And the 20 is right above there. So we'll see what happens tomorrow and in the rest of the week. And again, holiday weeks are typically, I know that they have been bearish. I was in that 2018 one, that Christmas, just diving while we're watching football and watching the market just get obliterated and crazy. But all right, here's all of my lines and charts here. We have this box that I put around the zone that was consolidation zone that we broke out and had a fake break. Now we're at the bottom of that zone again, getting the reaction. And again, I think this we have a downtrend line up here, and we have this zone that we're going to form. Possibly you can call it a descending triangle as well, however you look at the market. But we're getting the reaction right off of that 2008 trend line as well. So so that's going to matter. I do think we get a reaction off of this one, but it's going where the momentum is going to be going so far accelerating to the downside. I don't think it's going to hold like this one does for a little bit higher. So get the reactions off of it, and I think we'll fail from there. Your McClellan oscillator. So breadth, we were deeply oversold, and we're starting to improve. But again, this is a downtrend, and I think this will continue, especially starting tomorrow. There's times when you have these snapbacks that you get all the way up to the bullish area, and then you continue your downtrend there. So we'll see what happens here, but I do suspect this is in a downtrend for now until one of these days, as we get very, very bearish, you're going to see a real big positive divergence, kind of like this right here at some point. We're not there yet. So options tender, we're oversold. Now we're out of that condition. So anything can happen at this point. We're back to neutral. But your slow stochastic has a buy signal. It's not typical for things just to go straight up and down. So we had two big moves, and we'll talk about this more when we go to the VIX. But we had two negative 10 days in a row, 10 or more on the VIX, signifying that in the next 2 days, meaning today or tomorrow, that we're going to have a red day. I think that's tomorrow. Could we have two in a row because of this? Sure. I don't know what that rule exactly is for the percentages. It's over 20%. Then you have if the VIX is over 20%, then you have a 95% chance of. But if you have two side by side, all that tells me is that it's happening tomorrow. So I used tomorrow's expiration for my put protection. Okay. So we're still long calls in this bounce, but we're going to protect for tomorrow's. In my mind, it's going to feel devastating. But so we're getting the buy signal here. I want to see this travel all the way to the upside. And when we get our pullback tomorrow, I think it's going to be a buy situation once again for a few days, possibly into Monday or so. And the thing is, we're testing the zero line right now. I know you see it's going underneath it, but we're at the zero line. You see that yellow line. I think we're going to go back up to test it here and then continue lower, possibly with a whipsaw, just like this situation. Here's your DMARC. Your DMARC, we're at a 1 count. There's no setup here. Let's go to SPY. On SPY, we'll pull up the divergences, see if we see anything on here. Here's your money flow. We're getting that distribution, right? So that's, I think this is going to cycle all the way to the downside. As a matter of fact, as things start to get really weak, and then we'll look for this type of setup to go long. Again, we're not there yet. No setup yet. So on the Bollinger Band, we had our setup. Okay, we're at the bottom of the Bollinger Band. There are a few days in a row, but this one was a good buy for second, for overnight. You got that tweezer bottom, and then it was a gap and crap to finish off this series of lower highs and lower lows. I think that's all one move, and now we're correcting from that move. So in other words, with this Bollinger setup here, a lot of people use this. You're oversold into the Bollinger Band. It's a buy signal. Doesn't mean you do the OTD, zero dated expiration. It just means that eventually this is going to have your snapback and it move back to the midline before crashing back down. We're at the volume shelf. We talked about that multiple times. Your Elliott oscillator, we're in the red. I do think that's going to continue to move to the red, but eventually when this correction is over, we're probably going to test or whipsaw into the green here before heading lower. All right, with the VIX. So with the VIX, we're getting this tight area. Let me put the moving averages on. Now, I'm looking for this 200 and possibly the 20-day moving average to come together here to spike through it. We didn't get there today. I'll show you on the lower time frame why. Not only are we at the 50-day moving average on the QQQ, SMH, and SPY, that's one of the big reasons why I think that we're going to get our pop in the VIX tomorrow, but also because we're at a VIX daily cycle low. Now you have a couple cycles that are working right now. And I think coming out into December 1st, that cycle, we're going to have another low. And I think that low is going to be into that 19, the 20, and the 200 moving average. But we're going to have some price action to the upside first and then back down. All right. But we're in this consolidation zone, making higher highs and higher lows. And then eventually into next week, I think we're going to start our move and start breaking out from this consolidation area. Anything to look at us on this one? No, let's go to the 65. Well, let me talk about MSOX. Let's just go there. And, you know, this is very similar. What it is the United States leverage for MSOX. So we cover MSOX. This is leverage, and I don't mind. I use them all the time. I'm in TQQQ calls right now, and so I don't mind as long as there's liquidity. So if you go to your trade tab, and if you have, do they even trade? Oh, here's your options change right there. Okay, yep, they trade options, and you just want to go into your volume. This is a different setup for me. If there's any volume in here and open interest, and you don't mind working your trade, then go for it. Go for some, in my opinion, calls, because I believe we're in a bull market we're starting a bull market on cannabis. So just wanted to cover that. We had a question in YouTube, and then let's go to SPY and go down to the lower time frame, and we'll end off with Apple. All right, so let's go to the 65. And just to mention, I use the 65-minute so we can, so each candle is equal throughout the trading day. Instead of having 4.5 candles, or 6.5, whatever it is, we have even candles throughout the day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles instead of 6.5. All right, so in a nutshell, I think this move is complete. We had a wedge. We had a fake break in that wedge to complete this entire 5-wave move there. Instead of this being an ABC and to go higher, we're looking at a 5-wave leading diagonal. And now we broke out on Friday, back tested, and then we had a gap up and go today. So why more reasons why we might pause today? Well, let's look at the wave count. We came up to that 50% retracement, tagged it, and that's right where the 50-day moving average is. And so here's the wave count I'm looking for this to be an A, into a B, and a C. So watch out for tomorrow. We talked about this more in depth in the members video, but just watch out for how deep this goes tomorrow. Don't get anxious and start triggering calls too soon. If we let's go back to the traditional look. You have this gap close here, and then you have some dark prints. I'm not going to always talk about these dark prints. That's in the Discord. That's for those guys. So like I said, 99 cents a month, just come in there and we'll talk about it all you want. And we have this gap here. So do we hold the gap, come down to the dark pools, or do we just continue to gap up and go higher? Whatever the case is, maybe you're looking for a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5-wave move before a correction. I don't think that's the case because, we have this VIX. We have all of these things that we just talked about, all this evidence. And I think we're going to get our correction tomorrow and then float up or so. I'd quote unquote float up for the rest of our correction into possibly Monday or Tuesday next week, with the light volume. All right. Then here's your trend. We're back above. The trend is up. Moving averages, same thing. The overall higher time frame, we're in a downtrend, but in the near term, we have the 8 momentum and the 20 below us. So right now we're overbought, all right, and we had a slight divergence there in the RSI. So that gave us a clue when we tagged right there at the end of the day. This move is likely done, and we're rolling over on the slow stochastic. Now, we're probably going to keep this uptrend in the MACD, but you want to know that we're at that zero line, and we could just be testing back and whipsaw before going higher and completing this cycle to the upside. DMARC. We have a 9-count exhaust signal. That's another clue that this is over. I know that it's not perfect. It's not the high, but that gave us our little consolidation and a sign that the market has moved too far, too fast. Money flow index accumulation. It's clear. It's clear we're accumulating. We started accumulating in this move down here where we had positive divergence, and now this is oscillating to the upper edge. Bollinger Band. Again, if you matched it with the daily time frame, it's taking its time here. Let's try it again. Bollinger Band. Boom. All right. So we came down, closed these gaps. One was fully closed, and came down to the bottom edge of the Bollinger Band, positive divergence, and oversold barely right there. So that gave the signal to buy. Allied oscillator getting back into the positive. You saw it had this positive divergence here into those lows as well. All right. So let's go to check out the VIX. And here is another piece of evidence why we should see a bounce in the VIX tomorrow, giving us a decline in the rest of the overall market. We have these lows, this low, and tagged it today, probably going to get a reaction. Yeah, it could gap and go under. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen, but here's more evidence that we should at least come to close the gap, maybe even test that downtrend before heading lower, minimum to this trend line down here that I think we're going to go when this is all said and done. All right, so Apple. What do I have to say about Apple? I think that Apple is done. I think it's going to start its downtrend here for at least an ABC. This move right here. Apple is so tricky. You know, all this is really a box. So if this breaks out to the upside, so be it. And this breaks to the downside, so be it. That's how you can look at it. Just simplify this. If you don't want to think about Elliott wave and all that good stuff, just think of it as it's the top of the range, and whichever way it breaks, it's going to move, okay? But I think this is an A, B, C, right? You have that 5-wave move here for C, for a larger degree A, and then your A, B, C for B, and then we're going to get a nice large C wave at minimum to close this gap, and that's what's going to help push this market to the downside starting tomorrow. But on any bounces that it has, we will be there to short it, and I think that all the other stocks that have been knocked down, such as Nvidia and Amazon and Meta, those are going to continue to rise and push the market higher, while Apple and possibly, I don't know about Google, it's on a tear, but I think Apple will really try to put a strain on the market while it goes down, and it's going to go contrarian to the rest of the move here. All right, so let's keep an eye on that. That's what I think. I'm not sure that the top is in for Apple, unless this is, I can't count really a 1-2-1-2, and it doesn't look like any sort of leading diagonal. So to me, it looks like a correction waiting to just finish with an impulse wave to the downside. All right, I hope that helps. You guys, join us in the Discord. Thanks for watching at OptionsTender. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow.